Hi guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the differences between male and female riders, why we approach riding so differently, and how we can understand each other. So we could be exactly on the same bikes, exactly on the same trails, but still the experience of riding is really different for us. And you know what is the most amazing? It's not about the gender. But let's start from some common beliefs that we all share and we pass from rider to rider. The first one is that you have to be able to flat foot. I always ask myself why people believe that. And the most frequent explanations that I get from people is that if you can't put both feet down, you don't have enough balance. You can stop with one foot or potentially tiptoeing. And if you have enough skills, enough training to do that, that's perfectly fine. But if you don't, it's scary. And why is it scary? Because bike is a heavy object. And if you can't be sure in your own skills and your own balance and ability to keep it vertical, you probably would be worried to drop it down. Or maybe you already did that. So I understand this is not a pleasant, mentally not a pleasant place. And at the end, everybody tells you so, especially if you're a beginner rider, you listen to it. Why would you go against common belief that everybody tells you that, including even people who don't actually ride? Second belief is that fitness is optional. If you are a big enough human and you can flat foot, yeah, absolutely, no sweating, no gym, you can handle your bike anyway. Some people actually say that, I'm riding for so many years, I don't need to be in good shape. I just don't get myself in those situations where I have to deal with my bike. Working out is for younger guys who don't have enough skills to not put themselves in those positions. Other people say, you know what? It's much more important to modify this bike for me. It could be lowered suspension, it could be some aftermarket parts, mistaking that performance of a machine is not actually equal to performance of the rider. And some people decide that riding on its own is actually a physical activity. You don't have to work out to be on a bike. And the last point, some people consider riding just a fun activity. It's leisure activity. You get together with your buddies, just go for long rides. Why would you bother with working out? And the last belief is that if you didn't start as a child, you will never be good. Not everybody was lucky to have parents who introduced you to bikes in your early years, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn. Unfortunately, there is even a concept in psychology, a fixed mindset, that tells us that people typically believe that if you didn't learn something as a child, you will never master it later in life. Yes, our brain loses elasticity and speed with which we are learning, but it doesn't mean that we stop learning. We learn every day. Yes, we don't have the luxury of a time that kids have. We also have tons of the responsibilities, family, jobs, other social responsibilities. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we might not even have mental energy or mental capacity to learn something new. I understand all of that, but it doesn't mean that it is impossible. Another reason why people believe that it's so hard is when they don't have support from their surrounding and their family. Yeah, in this case, you feel really isolated. And learning and devoting enough time and energy in this case, when you feel so lonely and not supported, even harder. So remember at the beginning I told you that we will be talking about the differences between men and women riders. But so far I didn't say anything about differences, right? And this is where it connects. If we agree that these three factors are critical for being a good rider, this will stop only a few guys, but it will stop the majority of women. Women in general are shorter than men. If you put a guy next to me with exactly the same height as me, his inseam is going to be bigger than mine. So So my butt is lower. Women in general are not as strong as guys, and more frequently we go to Pilates or some yoga classes instead of powerlifting. Young girls, parents typically take to ballet classes or art galleries instead of taking them to a racetrack or spend the weekend fixing a little motorcycle or little bicycle. Those typically are considered to be boys' activities, and girls are just not part of it. And the last part, the most amazing part, is that in general, ladies are much more cautious. We know that if you take the same riders in a more challenging environment, girls more frequently will say, turn around, and there is no ego hurt. While guys typically just send it and do it and try, at least they try it. Sometimes that leads to more, unfortunately, results when the rider is getting hurt. But that's just inborn difference between two of us. Girls are naturally more cautious. Interesting part that these beliefs are so widespread that not just riders, but even people who do not ride, share them and spread them. I will never forget when I was on my 1250, and it was literally the first time I pulled up to fill it up. Car pulled up at the gas pump next to me. Driver gets out of that car and he goes to the store. He looks at my bike and says, "Isn't it too big of a bike for you?" Like, really? Out of thousands of different sentences that he could tell me on that beautiful spring day, like, "What a nice bike, how do you like riding this nice machine," or "Where are you going, it's such a nice day for riding," he chose to tell me that it is too big for me, questioning my ability to handle the bike. I'm a girl and I ride with guys, and I worked really hard to catch up with good riders. So let me tell you how this works. First belief, you should be able to flat foot. In sim is absolutely critical. No, this is not absolutely critical, because if you know how to get your balance, how to use just one foot and stop with one foot, there is no need to flat foot. This is one of the reasons why I started my channel, because this is such a widespread belief that everybody buys their bikes based on this. I made several videos on how to train yourself to get better balance, how to stop with one foot, and all those videos are designed to help short riders to develop skills that would make flat footing absolutely not necessary. I want to give you an example. I was able to ride Pan America. A friend of mine just gave me his bike, and he actually never took that Pan America off-road. And I was really curious how that bike compares to, say, 1300 or 1250. And I took it for a short ride. And because of my ability to balance the bike without flat footing, I just had tremendous fun on it. I rode it for hours. I even took it off-road a little bit. But the bike turned out to have absolutely great balance. I could pull up at the stop sign and not to put my feet down, just using slow speed techniques. And it performed fantastic. I was really happy with the bike. It has its own things that we discuss, and that it's in a separate video, but I just had a lot of fun and never thought about need to flat foot. Second belief, the need to work out. Okay, many of you probably know that I come from cars. For 20 years, I never been to a gym. But as soon as I got my 1250, I knew that I should be able to lift it so that I'm not a burden for those whom I'm riding with. So I started working out like a maniac. It is absolutely critical to be in a good shape before you get in a saddle. You know, there are other videos again on my channel about lifting the bike, and in one of those you will see a friend of mine who is 5'1". Yes, she is Olympic level weightlifter, but she lifts 1250 like it's nothing, like it's almost a bicycle. So the point is, yes, she's a girl, yes, she's really, really short, but with training this becomes totally not a factor. And the last belief, age. I started seriously riding a bike when I was 45. In 3 years, I took my bike to my first GS trophy. Yes, I got from cars, and 20 years of car racing taught me that if I approach this as a skill and continue training myself, I will get quicker results. So, yes, I trained deliberately for a long time, and I'm really happy with where I am right now. In my opinion, the common denominator here, or common theme, is social pressure. And we frequently pass some beliefs that are based on body parts that have nothing to do with actual motorcycle riding skills. Imagine if your lady would be a guy of the same size. What kind of advice you would give to your friend? The truth is that the same advice would work for her as well. But somehow, we girls are viewed and are being treated absolutely differently. You can see that women have disadvantages in size, strength, and starting points if they start riding later in their life. But that's okay, especially for those ladies who start riding later. They fully understand what they are dealing with, and they're still willing to commit and do that. And she doesn't need a lot of support. She just needs a supportive partner. So if you have a lady like this, make sure to help her. If you will go together in the trail rides or just on rides together, be attentive, be supportive. Do not mock or tease. Just take it seriously, because it is a serious thing for her. She's dealing with pressure that guys are not even fully aware of, kind of pressure that we are putting ourselves into. So be careful with your comments. Be careful with pushing. Believe me, she pushes herself way more than you can imagine. Sometimes just it could be as easy as sending her to the nearby parking lot or nearby trails and say, go and have fun for half an hour. I'll take care of dishes, or I will read to kids tonight. At the end, it will go a real long way. She will be extremely happy about that, because she knows she did something good for her own riding development, and she has a great supportive partner. There are definitely beliefs that are true and helpful, but there are definitely some that are wrong and harmful. Shorter height doesn't mean inadequacy. Desire to ride should result in the desire to be in good shape. And if you're starting later in your life, practice and training will help you to get better results and to be a really good rider. So don't tell a girl that she can't ride just because of her gender, size, or strengths. If you meet somebody who tells you that it's too hard to ride because bike is too heavy, or it's too tall, or something else, consider mentioning that training new skills would really help to improve the situation. In one rare exception, I would say go for a much smaller, lighter bike for off-road riding. Other than that, train. There is tons of information available these days online. A lot of really talented and really well-respected riders share their tips and lessons. So go and start learning. I also have my channel that's focused on short riders. So if you belong to a vertically challenged population, those are for you there. So we have a lot of work to do, guys, to dispel some of those wrong beliefs. And I would greatly appreciate your help in doing that. If you like this material, please consider liking, subscribing, and share it with others. The more of us know this and share this, the better it is for us. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.